Okay, full disclosure. So, the topic came up to me, or I thought about talking about this stuff coming off of all the conversations surrounded by the loss of life at the Astro World concert. However, I don't plan on discussing really what happened outside of the context of lives were lost and that kind of being a springboard for the overall discussion. I just want to acknowledge all the lives that were lost. A moment of silence for them. The kind of overall vibe that I've been seeing outside of people just talking about how the festival failed folks and all that stuff, and Travis and all this stuff, is the general people don't care that people are dead. No one cares that people are dead. How could people keep continuing if people were dying? And just this general vibe of our lives don't matter. I feel like as a black femme non-binary person, I mean, no, we already kind of live under that thing. And if you have any layer of marginalized identity, if you're a disabled black person, if you are a trans black person, like we're already kind of living under this understanding. But still, that being said, there's just kind of been this general discussion of like, no one cares if you die. You could die in the midst of a big crowd and people will still keep continuing, and all that. So I think that the most, isn't this cute? I don't know. I got this from this like virtual death seminar. Anyway, Bonamort. I said it wrong. Anyways, they gave us all gifts if we attended the little virtual seminar, so shout out to them. Before, obviously, what happened at Astro World, we had the pandemic, we have mass shootings, we have the healthcare system, domestic violence, like all this stuff where legislators, our leaders on both sides of the spectrum, it doesn't really matter um, when people die in these horrific ways, in these unnecessarily violent ways. Nothing gets changed, at least immediately. Victims are still victims. Things are swept under the rug. Like, no one is safe. The pandemic, the most marginalized and the most, I don't know, the most at-risk people suffered the most, people who had to work in the front lines and all that stuff, and no one cared. Nothing was really done about it. It was just kind of like, well, if you die, you die. And as we can see with the amount of deaths we have in America, and as the kind of message was, oh, well, that's over, now go back outside, even though we have like 700,000 people and growing dead, like forget about it, that's in the past, just go back outside. The general sentiment of your life doesn't matter here in America has existed before this, what happened at Astro World, but I just feel like it just has been like really, really heavily talked about. Yeah, that's just kind of like the general turmoil of the American system and how things were brought up. And as I kind of mentioned earlier, if you are someone, if you are black specifically, but also if you are a person of color, if you are indigenous, especially if you are trans, if you are disabled, you are definitely very acutely aware of how much this country specifically does not value specific types of people and specific types of lives. You are very aware of how, no matter what, you could die a violent, preventable death, whether medically or domestically or out and about, gun violence, and no one's really gonna, like, it's gonna be a thing, but it's not gonna be a thing enough to make change. It's just something that is gonna have maybe a hashtag around it, if you're lucky, depending on what you look like. And then we're gonna keep pushing. Like, it's just these things don't really matter. Black trans lives, black trans women die at an extremely high rate, and it's just not something that the general people that can do something about it are wanting to do anything about. Gun laws haven't really changed. It's like kind of like it should be something that was much quicker, but nothing is happening. So this is the system that we live under. Just kind of like a very violent and oppressive system that has never really valued lives over what this country was built on. You know what I mean? So I feel like in general, just speaking for myself, there's this sinking feeling that I've kind of been having as I've gotten older. It still has been very hard for me as I'm getting older and seeing people that I grew up with die and understanding that I'm gonna die. And there are systems in place that are actively contributing to like the rapid, the potential speeding up of your death because they don't give a flying F about you. Like, so it's really just, you're just walking and you don't, this is just a war zone for you and your body. So that's been really, really difficult for me to deal with. And I've been kind of dealing with a looming anxiety over just death and how it doesn't matter, and how, for me, this country was built on violence, this country was built on capitalism, and this country was not built to stop some of the things like gun laws, like gun control and all that stuff would fundamentally go against what this country is built on. Dealing with the systemic racism and homophobia and transphobia would directly go against what this country is built on. So of course it's going to take a long time, and it may not even happen in my lifetime. And so that's a very depressing thing, I think, to deal with a lot. And if I'm one of those casualties, it won't matter, and everyone will just keep going, and it's just one big party, and it's like living in a dystopia. You know what I mean? We'll just continue dancing on everyone's bones. Like, I don't know about you, but this has also kind of contributed to my overall just like fear of death, like the fear that the world doesn't care, and that everything will just move on. And I think especially, like, even if I was just like, if I died in a regular quote unquote way, disease of the body, which is the most normal way of people passing away, even in that, I have that anxiety that the world will keep going on. But especially in the violent, specifically American violent ways of death on a body like mine, it just really kind of bothers me that it could just be like that, and then it doesn't really matter. You know, it'll matter to those who matters too, but besides that, it won't matter. You can't really fix that anxiety because it's not really to be fixed. I feel like it's good to be acknowledging that this is the truth, this is the reality. But I think there are some things that we can do, those of us who maybe be feeling this anxiety, or just me, just to help you feel like it does matter. Community, number one. And this is speaking as one of the most introverted people that I know, which is myself, especially after the pandemic. Like, I don't know about you guys, but like going outside, like everyone was rushing to get outside. I'm having such a hard time with outside as a concept. Like, I used to be able to fake it till I made it, but now I really can't fake it till I make it. So it's a problem. So this community thing, since the pandemic was also the time that I was dealing with, death work and learning about that, and seeing that how important community is to mattering and to kind of combating that feeling. This is a very difficult one for me, because if I had it, I would just be in the house, and like I would have people that like me even though they never see me. You know what I mean? Like, why can't we just have that? But you can do that. But I guess the first one I just said is like, having a person or persons that help you feel valued. People that make you feel like someone does care, even if the world doesn't, because so it sucks. Like, it's very hard for some people to build community, depending on, it could be where you live, it could be different social anxieties, it could be mood disorder. There's so many different reasons why building community is difficult, and I understand a bunch of them, but I feel like in such an individualistic society where it's kind of like made difficult to make community, we don't have communal spaces that are free. We can't really walk around. Everyone's very far apart. It's very expensive to travel and to visit. Like, this country is built to tear apart communities. Gentrification is happening in a country that is so intended to rip apart your communal base. And a country that doesn't value life as much as it does money or guns or all that stuff. It's really important to have someone that helps you feel valued and gives you that little peace of mind. And I'm not someone that, like, I get it, we are social creatures, go outside, but I'm aware that that's not possible for everybody. So when I say community, I'm looking at that in different ways. Like, maybe your family, if that's all you got, that's all you got. If you don't have your family, you have your friends wherever you are. If you don't have your friends, maybe you're building connections online with like one person. I'm too shy for internet friends because that involves me like thinking and responding to DMs, and that stresses me out. But people really build strong bonds on the internet, on the Discord. Like, people literally like seem like they have best friends that they've never even met and probably have never even seen because their AV is like, some anime character or whatever. But just some person or persons that you feel like these are my people as much as I can have my people and build community with. So if anything happens, your presence is missed. And even if you never met them online, I've seen people online who are like, yeah, my internet friend died and it's really sad. Or people who notice that other people are gone from the internet and check in. Like, that stuff is so important. And it seems super hard. And it is super hard. I mean, people say it is super hard to build. But understand that it's really hard to build because this country makes it really hard to build. Like, understand that it's not your fault if building community is hard. That's literally the purpose of this country. If you don't have community, you're focused on yourself. That helps you buy, that helps you spend, it helps you not really communicate and think and share ideas. Like, it's great to be alone in this country. That's what they want. Any way that you can find a community, especially during this time where it feels like I don't matter, none of this matters, like I could be torn away, especially if you're a Black person, when they don't care, your community cares. If you could have one person that will send you a bottle of water when you can't afford anything, you're doing good. And you have someone that will be, looking out for you if something happens. And if you're like, literally no one cares, it's the most depressing thing ever, it's not the most depressing thing ever. It's very easy to be isolated, like I said before, but trying to find someone or someones who share the values that you share in, who care about your emotional well-being and want to support you, who care about your personhood is really important. Next, I guess, and this is more of a shorter one because it sounds like it's not as easy as people make it out to be. It is just to maybe get involved sometimes, to feel like you matter or to feel like you are doing something about the matter. It's just about getting involved. And honestly, getting involved is not this whole like you are the savior of this system is just BS. And again, it's propaganda. There are people who are already doing the work and fighting for the thing that you are maybe passionate about. Giving resources, if that's what you have to offer, not everyone does, but if you're someone that can just give the resources, giving the money to people who are doing the work already, who are on the ground, that's awesome. And that's a way to kind of, I don't want to say it's a way to massage your anxiety, because it's probably not, but I think it's a way to use your anxiety for positivity. And then finally, memorializing yourself. And this is good, especially, if you have a community, but if you don't necessarily have a community, I feel like this is something that you can do right away that doesn't feel as daunting as making a friend, because like, how do you do that? Finding things and ways to make your stamp for yourself, for your community, or for the world. I went to an immersive event in LA recently called The Nest, and I don't want to spoil it, but it's basically about you're exploring a dead person's like life through their iconography, through their images and their pictures and all this stuff. And it was really inspiring to me because it's like, wow, obviously it was an actor, but the way they kind of talked about their life as they were going through it was like, oh, it wasn't that important. I didn't do what I wanted to do. Like, and it was just really inspiring because it's like, yeah, but through your collected works, I've really met someone who had a very dynamic and fruitful and passionate and tragic and beautiful life. And that really inspired me to think about memorializing my own self for whoever finds me. Again, that was like fictional, but just for whoever finds me. So whether that's journaling more, or if that's just like, scrapbooking. I'm really thinking about scrapbooking again, just so I can have a physical thing that something happens to me, it can get passed on, or someone can find it. Like the I am here thing. Think about like, what is your I am here thing? And maybe it is the internet. But as we know, apps are fleeting, things are fleeting. So maybe it's your own website, your own blog that can be found, or something physical. So what is the way that you can memorialize yourself? How can you speak and put your life out there, even if it's just for yourself right now? Or maybe it is for the internet, kind of like that's what I'm doing this for, honestly. How can you memorialize yourself? Stamp yourself here. You do matter. And your life, however short it will be, however eventful or crazy or fun or boring it is, I promise you it does matter, and it having a text of yourself and of your life kind of will help you see that a little bit. So yeah, I'm personally thinking about scrapbooking. I kind of miss scrapbooking. It's hard. Like you take all these pictures on your phone and then you kind of forget about it. And then sometimes I go through it and then it's like, oh my God, I forgot about this. It would be nice to have something physical, so I can pass it down during an estate sale. I don't know who's gonna buy my scrapbook, but I just mean something physical to have that perhaps someone can find later. You know what I mean? Getting your photos taken, doesn't have to be super professional. Getting your photos taken and printing it and putting it in a frame is a way to do that. I'm trying to think what else. Those whole like lock things, in France, the gum wall in Seattle, like all like physical, tangible things that people do. I think that's really important. Again, especially for Black folks, especially for Indigenous folks, like we need to have our stamp. We matter. Okay. I wanted to end with the last video I talked about that I was reading, Its Sister Outsider, the Audre Lorde collected works, or some of their collected works, but there's something in here that I wanted to just read and share. It is from this essay, The Transformation of Silence into Language and Action. But for to survive in the mouth of this dragon we call America, we have had to learn the first and most vital lesson, that we were never meant to survive, not as human beings, and neither were most of you here today, Black or not. And that visibility which makes us most vulnerable is that which also is the source of our greatest strength. Because the machine will try to grind you into dust anyways, whether or not we speak. We can sit in our corners, mute forever, while our sisters and ourselves are wasted, while our children are destroyed and distorted, while our earth is poisoned. We can sit in our safe corners, mute as bottles, and we will still be no less afraid. And then finally, what are the words you do not yet have? What do you need to say? What are the tyrannies you swallow day by day and attempt to make your own, until you will sicken and die of them, still in silence? So I guess to leave you with this passage, this place wants to destroy us. And it will swiftly and without much fanfare. So whatever you need to say, however you need to mark your presence, do it.